Hey everyone, and welcome to this webinar on how to build a SaaS Sales Playbook. SaaS, Software as a Service Sales Playbook. So let's get started straight away. By way of introduction, the SaaS Sales Playbook we've built in Microsoft Word. It's the one on the right. Uh, Historically, we've built our playbooks in Microsoft OneNote. However, not everybody is a user of Microsoft OneNote, and we have found that the feedback from users is that OneNote is quite challenging to sometimes import a new notebook as a whole. So what we've done is we've taken the opportunity to rebuild, upgrade, and build a new sales playbook, and specifically for SaaS. And we've built it in Microsoft Word. It's not even a PDF document, it's in Microsoft Word. So the minute that you open this document, you can immediately start to customize it and make it bespoke to your business and your world. So, what is a SaaS sales playbook? Well, a SaaS playbook includes everything a sales rep needs to be successful. This will include sales process, outbound sales campaigns, sales tools, templates, content, media, training, and coaching. Playbooks are an essential tool for every SaaS company, as studies show that reps who are using playbooks sell more. How much more, I hear you ask? Well, teams with playbooks are 33% more likely to be high performers with win rates exceeding 50%. I could not endorse that anymore. Playbooks is they're a fantastic tool and a great starting point that we use with lots of our clients. So, common uses for a SaaS sales playbook would be number one, documenting best practice in sales within the organization. So, if you're about to embark on any form of sales improvement project, then a part of that, at least at the beginning, is going to be documenting in the initial phases what's working versus what's not working, and documenting that best practice and putting it in your playbook is a great starting point. Next up, playbooks are more often used in sales enablement programs. A sales enablement program is simply a program that you can use as an organization to help your sales improve. Now, sales enablement constitutes multiple different sorts of platforms, different sorts of tools. You talk to 10 different companies and they will give you 10 different enablement explanations or definitions. However, the general consensus would be that it is an overall program of work that is going to enable salespeople to sell more. Number three, creating a common sales process and language. May not be high on most people's agendas, but again, this is really important so that everybody in the company, and I mean not just in sales, everybody in the company, marketing, operations, customer success, everybody understands and is on the same page, so to speak, when it comes to the sales process and the language that we use. For example, it would not be unusual for different departments to have different criteria for what they would imagine as a qualified customer or a qualified deal, qualified lead. Having all this documented so that there's no misunderstanding is really important. Number four, probably the most common use of playbooks is going to be onboarding new hires. Now, that onboarding process, the slicker you can get that, the more that you can reduce the time from the initial onboarding to when that rep becomes revenue generating, the better it is, obviously, from a financial perspective for the business. So, sales playbooks are a great tool to onboard new reps, and essentially what they should do is they should contain everything within them that the rep will need to know to be successful. Now, that does not mean that you can hire a new rep, you can plonk them in front of a PC and get them to read the playbook and they're good to go. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that it's taking the bulk of that heavy lifting, the more mundane and admin focused stuff and stuff that they're going to have to be revisit. It's taking that role of training away from, say, a team manager, a sales manager, or a founder, and automating it to some degree. So Sales playbooks for onboarding new hires, really essential because it frees up that management time, and you can use that management time in a more productive way around things like coaching, for example. Lastly, playbooks, SaaS playbooks are a great tool for just increasing the overall sales productivity and effectiveness of the organization. Uh, again, I could not endorse that more. So let's just move on, and I'm going to jump over to Microsoft Word, and I'm going to walk you through how to actually customize the playbook itself, the template itself. So here we are in the template inside Microsoft Word, and you can see immediately if you double click on the header, it will allow you to edit that and insert your own company name and everything. 83333, what does that mean? Just a little reminder, I'm sure you already know this, MRR, monthly recurring revenue. If you get to 83333 MRR, you all of a sudden have $1 million in turnover. So 83333 is the magic number that I would suggest that you're aiming for if you're starting off on the SaaS journey. So I'm just going to scroll up here, and you can see immediately I'm going to suggest that you can customize this by adding your name, adding a version date, a version number, and a revision date, so that we can make sure that we've got version control in the document. Next up, really simple. This is a welcome note to your new members, and contact details of whoever you would deem appropriate. Typically, that's going to be the line manager, and there will be there's another section to include other contacts. So, table of contents. I'm not going to go through that and bore you to death, guys. So, history. Really good to give new employees a background summary on the history of the company. And again, the goal of the template, the playbook template, is so that any SaaS rep that starts, whatever conversation they're having with a prospect or a customer, they can answer any of the questions. So customers, believe it or not, will want to know the provenance, the history of your organization, the history of your leadership team, for example, right? And it's really good to for the new employees to know that. Values, I've put in there the closer's company values. If you don't have values, then feel free to steal these ones. If you've got your own values, then please edit that and insert your own stuff in there. And values are really important because these are what I would describe as the unwritten rules by which we work, right? And we need to have salespeople that are living our values, not just talking about them. We've got to live them, and it's really important to establish that at the very start, especially with new employees. Moving on, your colleagues, simple organization chart that I would suggest that you add there, so that people can see, new sales reps can see the different contacts in different departments that are going to be relevant for them. Let me just adjust this again. So next up, domain knowledge. So domain knowledge, you may know this by another term, but basically our belief is that people buy from people, but more than that, they don't want to deal with somebody who's just reading a script from a call center. So you've got to have what we call domain knowledge. You've got to be a subject matter expert, and you need to know things like, what are your industry statistics and facts, what are the customer statistics that you've got, company statistics, and any demonstrative statistics around use cases or case studies, whichever you would call them. So it's really important that you've got this information, and again, this is going to be all in the one document. So most sales reps, when they join, the last thing you want them doing is spending all day searching around SharePoint, searching around Google Drive, searching in Dropbox, all these different locations for different documents from different departments. The idea is that we've got everything in the one document here. So I'm sure you've got that, but it's really important that your new sales reps understand the market. They've got to know the market before they start talking to customers. So little suggestion there. Identify the thought leaders in your industry, and then follow them on LinkedIn and Twitter. Equally, the industry publications and any industry organisations and bodies. Any industry insights and stats would go there. Next up is sales tools. So uh, every sales rep, every organization has their own set of sales tools, their own technology stack. This is just a simple uh, section here where we would recommend that you're putting the different tools with a location as in the web address, any account name details, passwords so that the new users can access these tools, and any training links. So it's the usual suspects: CRM, marketing automation. You may have a content hub. You'll certainly have some form of outbound mail, Lusha, Snov, something like that. Internal comms. That may be to some form of Yammer. Digital contract signatures. So, if part of the rep's role is to be collecting signed contracts, then something like DocuSign, and we're not in any way financially connected to DocuSign, so I'm not necessarily endorsing them. I'm just using that as an example. Email, Outlook, Gmail, whatever you're going to use. Video email, which is becoming more and more popular. So, our clients, really good place to insert your ICP, your ideal client profile, so that your salespeople know who they're trying to sell to. If you try and sell to everybody, you'll end up selling to nobody. So make sure you've got an ICP in there. And also a PPP, perfect prospect profile. The ICP is typically around the organization as a whole. The prospect profile is more aligned with, say, a buyer persona. Is probably the language that the marketing people would use. And you can see in here, it's got things like what are their top fears, what are the pains and frustrations. These are all things that really help to actually craft your sales conversation, your sales campaigns, your sales pitch. Down here in the bottom right, you will see where we've got the common sales and objections. Really important to have that so that when your sales reps first get on the phone, they're not confronted by these sales and objections and they end up like a deer in the headlights. It's really important to practice that role play in advance, and preparation is the key to success here. So capture the most common sales objections and then role play those with your team in terms of how the best way to handle them is. Moving forward, we like to give examples of the types of clients. So typically we would group clients into different animals. You don't have to use animals. It's just something to try and make it more memorable. So a squirrel. Squirrels would be clients that are going to give you revenue for 0 to 3 months. They may be ones that you're not convinced are going to be a long-term fit, so they may jump on the platform, your SaaS platform, and they may well be the sorts of user that comes for only 0 to 3 months. Hopefully you're not giving them a free trial. No more than 1 week's trial, guys, is our suggestion, and you're going to get at least 0 to 3 months out of this. Dear clients, they're going to last a bit longer, 3 to 9 months. If you would prefer, you can change this 0 to 3 months. You can change the definition to that could be 0 to 20 users. Dear clients could be 20 to 50 users. So make sure that you make this, customize it, and make it bespoke to match your real world circumstances. Elephants, they're the sort of large enterprise deals that you're going to be chasing, right? And they're going to give you revenue for 9 to 18 months. And then you've got the whale clients, the big meaty ones with hundreds of users, and they're going to be the dripping roast that your business is going to feed off. Apologies if there's any vegetarians listening, and yes, I do understand that whale is not an animal, so to speak, but hey, forgive me. So once you've got that sort of that understanding, just list down examples of those squirrel, deer, elephant, and whale clients, and put links to the website so the new reps can go and look at those types of clients, so they get a feel for the types of business that they're going to be targeting for. And again, this may sound, forgive me, this may sound obvious. However, we would suggest that you're not targeting uh, all of the same category of clients because, for example, if you're only targeting squirrels, then you're going to run into problems with revenues because you've got to continually add more squirrels into the top of your sales funnel. If you're only targeting elephants and enterprise organizations, it's going to take you much longer. You're going to have a much longer sales cycle, and you may run out of cash, heaven forbid. So it's good to have a mix of different clients in there that we're targeting. Sales process. Here's an example of an enterprise sales process. Everyone's got their own sales process. We totally accept that. This is just an example. You need to put your sales process in here. And also, we would suggest that you map out the enterprise the players in the customer decision making unit within an enterprise organization, and then just rank them things like high in terms of influence, medium influence, or low influence. You would also want to go background there for maybe not for all your deals, but you want to go background there and just give them a quick 1, 2, 3 in terms of what your relationship would be with them, with one being brilliant, they love us, they're raving fans, two being they're neither positive or negative, three being they have no idea we even exist or they hate us. So and the goal is to move the threes to the twos and the twos to the ones. So moving forward, here's an example of a funnel. Again, every organization is going to have their own funnel. This is just an example. You're going to typically have what would traditionally be known as a marketing at the marketing stage of the funnel, and from that, you're going to have leads pop out the bottom, and they're going to be, instead of a lead, I beg your pardon, they're going to do add to cart on your website, and that's what I would describe as B2C. So things like Amazon, eBay, that sort of thing. B2B SS. B2B SS. SS stands for self-serve. So it's business to business. However, they are serving themselves. And the opposite to that would be B2B SA, and that's sales assisted. A couple of examples on that. Easy examples would be LinkedIn. So when you go to join LinkedIn, it's B2B, but it's self-service. However, on B2B, if it's for their LinkedIn learning package, that's going to be sales assisted. There's going to be a demo involved. You're going to have to fill out some sort of thing that's going to be assisted by some form of rep to close. So whatever your funnel is, make sure that you've got an example of this and you can explain it to the reps and show them examples of it. It's also good to, as I said, explain the different stages of it. How do we define it and how we're going to measure it? And again, this is a great way to help them understand what the process is. And these would typically be linked into your or replicated in your CRM. Next up, you would put we call it a door opener, your opening pitch, whatever. There's just an example of one there. I think that's a few years out of date, but it's just an example of one. Discovery questions. We use a tool called a root cause analysis, taking the prospects from what they would typically be describing as the symptoms of their pain, the business pain they're trying to solve, and we need to, in essence, peel back the onion, the different layers of the onion. Each question pulls back a layer of the onion, and we're trying to get to the root, that root cause of the actual problem. I forget the saying, what's the word? There's a really great saying on this, that prescription without proper diagnosis is malpractice. So if we're prescribing a solution without properly diagnosing the problem, we're guilty of malpractice. So until there's no point getting on the phone and prescribing a solution. We've got to go through this root cause analysis. Now, I absolutely accept that some people will already have bought into the solution. They will have gone through that what's called recognition of needs phase. I get all that, but it's definitely worth just going through this at a light touch to confirm all that. If nothing else, it reminds them of the business pain and it prods them and reminds them where they're hurting. Prod them as in metaphorically. So stalls and objections, we talked about the stalls and objections that you should be capturing on the perfect prospect profile. And again, here's a simple tool that you can use to help develop your rebuttals and proof points for those stalls and objections. And again, we've got some examples there. You're more than welcome to copy those, but if they don't work for you, this is a template. The idea is that you're going to customize it. What works in our world may not work in your world. Demos, if it's a sales assisted close, there's invariably going to be some form of demo. So you're going to have to include in here not just the location or tool that you're going to use to deliver the demo, but an actual walkthrough of what that demo looks like. What are the different points that they need to cover off in the demo? Equally so with presentations. Pricing, you may or may not be using pricing. Pricing may be up front on the website and you may not necessarily need to talk about it. However, I would always include a conversation around the pricing in terms of making sure that they're aware and asking them, is this something that's going to be budgeted for? Which budget is it going to be allocated from? Which departments is it coming from? Who owns that budget? All those, all the typical questions that I'm sure you're well aware of. Proposal template, if you are doing some form of bespoke solution and you need to generate some form of proposal, insert the proposal there. Sales stories, these are a great way to position your company and channel that sales conversation towards specific areas that you want to focus on. So if you're not familiar with sales stories, I would urge you to read up on this and use them. There's lots of different ways, including dealing with stalls and objections, controlling the sales conversation, dealing with price objections. There's lots of different ways that you can use sales stories. So that's a whole course on its own. Could not recommend that more. Next up, customer meeting note template. If you're not taking notes when you're meeting, and this could be a face-to-face meeting, although it's obviously it tends not to be in SaaS, but if you're doing a Zoom or a Teams call in a SaaS sale, you need to be taking notes all the time. And here's a simple meeting note template. We would suggest that you embed this in somewhere like Microsoft OneNote inside Microsoft Teams, right? And then it's easy access for everybody. Not just the people who are actually using this, but it's easy access for other people who may be, for example, a line manager wants to do some coaching. They can go through these notes and see where they can identify coaching opportunities. Sales battle cards. I got introduced to these, I think, when God was in short trousers. It's so long ago, but it's just been something that stuck with me for the last 30 odd years of sales. Sales battle card basically is in most deals you're going to be up against some form of competitor, and this is going to help your sales reps understand how they can compete, right, and how they're going to win these deals when they're up against a competitor. And these are still used in enterprise deals. Microsoft, for example, we know Microsoft were using them when we were helping Microsoft, for example. Google had a big campaign to try and steal a lot of the public sector work away from Office 365, and Microsoft had developed a series of battle cards to help their reps when they came up against Google, help them win every deal. And I'm not sure what the statistics are, but I would imagine 90+% of the public sector in the UK are dealing with Microsoft. That doesn't mean that it was only because of the battle cards, but they certainly helped. There's examples there of where you can use the battle cards and customize them to your world. This one here, you're typically going to have what we would describe as an asset list, and that's going to be customer-facing assets and some internal assets that you would have. Again, here you're going to insert links to those assets. Could be Dropbox, OneNote, sorry, not OneNote, OneDrive, whatever you're using, Google Drive. and just links to things like different videos as well. Even if it's on YouTube or Vimeo, anything that the sales reps are going to need that'll either educate them, help them sell more, or help their customers. So it may be, for example, a video that they want to share with customers. Case studies, simple template that you should be that you can replicate to create your own case studies. Customer testimonials, social proof. I don't need to tell you how important that is. You've got to have these testimonials, and again, you can weave these in, I beg your pardon, into your sales stories to make them even more powerful. Next up, KPIs. Again, forgive me for repeating myself, every organization is going to have their own KPIs. Here's some KPIs. If you're not using these and you've got other ones, by all means stick with those. This is not a definitive list, it's just some ideas of things that we would suggest that you're measuring and tracking. Sales scorecards, we absolutely love scorecards. In sales, as an organization, as a rep, you're going to have to do finding, closing, growing, and development. Now, if you're a SaaS, if you're an SDR working for a SaaS business, then you're typically going to be more focused in this finding area, right? You're typically going to be more focused on this. I totally understand this. Equally, if you're an account executive with a SaaS company, you're going to be more focused on this area here. Development, however, each of you should be doing some form of development, and development means learning more about domain knowledge, giving back. Giving back is a great way to help the community. There are always people worse off than us, so anything we can do to give back. It doesn't have to be money. You could give back time, you could sponsor people, you could just be a volunteer for some local organizations. Giving back is a really healthy thing to do. Coaching sessions held. SaaS reps need coaching, need training, and it should be their responsibility. It should be in their scorecard to book those sessions with their line manager. Personal development, and sales development are, I would suggest, are twin tracks. It's impossible to grow in terms of your sales development without personal development. So anything that is getting your sales reps out of their comfort zone, helping them grow as individuals, is going to help them be a better salesperson. And obviously, training. We're a training company. You are going to say, well, we would say this, but you don't turn up at the Olympics unless you've done training, and it's the winners that are at the Olympics. So, right, if you want to win, you got to train. You would not hire an accountant unless they were fully trained, right? We're hiring SDRs. A lot of SDRs, it's their first job. They're university graduates. We've got to train them. But training doesn't stop just for SDRs. We work with lots of sales managers, entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, sales directors, VPs of sales. The smart ones are the ones who know that they constantly want to grow, constantly need to get that edge to keep on top of their market. So, to-do list. This is dead simple, but I use this on a daily basis in my OneNote to keep track of what's in my to-dos. Typically, if you're familiar with Covey, Covey's talks about box 2, sharpening the saw. This is what we would describe as the non-urgent but important stuff, and most of my stuff is built up here. I tend to try and avoid this, obviously. It's not urgent and not important. If I'm in there, then there's something seriously gone wrong with my day. Urgent but not important. Everybody's got their own definition of this, and again, I try to keep that urgent important by doing these things here in the box too. The more you do here, the bigger an impact it has on that in terms of reducing it. So if you've not got a to-do list, then please, I would suggest you get one. Onboarding checklist. We would suggest this is what the sales rep should know before they talk to a customer. They need to know all these things, and it's a simple checklist broken into parts 1, 2, and 3. Again, if you don't agree with anything on there, you're more than welcome to customize the template. That's the whole idea of the template. Next up, coaching. We're great fans of the GROW coaching model. Goals, reality, obstacles, and way. You don't have to use that. There's lots of coaching models that you can use. However, that's a tried and proven one that I would suggest you can't go wrong with. Pre-coaching checklist that you can use. These are the ones that we use for our own business. So, we're not hiding anything here. You're not getting anything that's substandard, so to speak. Uh, Next up, training planners. You've got to be doing training. Here's an example of the training planners that we use for our clients, albeit some of our clients are SaaS and some of our clients are not SaaS. So some of this is going to be more SaaS orientated and some of it to a degree less SaaS orientated. So whether you're SaaS or you're not SaaS, just delete the stuff, just delete it, hit the delete button, right, on the stuff that's not relevant for your business. Uh, so next up, sales competencies. Some things that you should maybe think about. What are the different competencies when you're building out roles and responsibilities? What are the different competencies that those roles need? Right. So, for example, making cold calls to prospects. That's going to be a competency that's going to be more suitable or beneficial, if you like, to SDRs than it may be to an account executive whose primary role is to grow existing accounts. So just go through these and think about that, and that will help you build your training and coaching plans. There's the different SaaS roles. Don't worry if you've got your organization set up differently. There's no rules. If it's working, it's working. But if it's not, here's something that you might want to just look at the different roles that are available. Uh, Next up, personal learning plan. Every employee, not just your SaaS and sales team, every employee in the business should have a personal learning plan. You cannot grow any business. The best you can do is grow the people, and the people will grow the business. Sales coaching worksheets, that's the individual worksheets. The previous one was the onboarding ones. Goal setting, you've got to be setting goals. If you're not setting goals, you're just like coasting. And then admin, so things like, if you're going to have, I would imagine, at least a weekly or bi-weekly sales meeting. Here's some suggested agenda points for those meetings, and you can then document it and immediately share it within Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. Compensation, really important for salespeople to know exactly how they're being remunerated. Super important. And the simpler you make it, the more powerful and motivating it will be. If they've got to read and understand a huge spreadsheet, it's just some of them will find it like poking cocktail sticks in their eyes, and they're just not going to want to do it. Expenses, if you've got a team that in any way generate any form of expenses, out of pocket expenses, make sure that it's super simple and easy for them to reclaim those expenses. And your admin people will love this as well. Why would you not have a process in there for that? Time management, you know, it's really busy. It's really easy in sales, I beg your pardon, to be busy, but being busy and being effective are two completely different things. So, time management, time's the one thing that the clock is always running down. We're always running out of time. So we've got to be super focused on what we're doing every single day and making sure that there are genuine, tangible outcomes, tangible and measurable outcomes, and we're not just busy fool, so to speak. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoy this. Hope this works for you in terms of the ease of which to edit the document. And please feel free to keep in touch with us and share examples back with us of your own playbooks once you've got them built. We'd love to see some examples back from you of your finished playbooks. Okay, so where can I get my hands on the template itself? If you head on over to Closers, closers.com. If you just scroll over to the resources tab and just hit the drop down menu, and you will see MS Word Playbook template. If you prefer the digital template, if you're a Microsoft OneNote user, by all means download that template. You do require the business license, the full business license for Microsoft Office 365. It does not work on the free edition of Microsoft OneNote that ships with Windows. You do need to have that full M365 Office 365, I beg your pardon, business license. That's it. Thank you so much. Before you go, I'd be super grateful if you could hit the like, subscribe, and please feel free to check out our other videos here on YouTube.